I just want to remind you that as a salesman, we are never professionals. We are always learning, which is kind of the fun of the job. As much as you know, you can always learn more. And one of the number one things I discovered and dealt with on the day-to-day was the online payment calculator. So you go online, you see GM, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, Toyota, whoever, and you go through and you calculate all your payments, then you go into the dealership and the payments seem to be a lot higher. A lot of times they don't calculate taxes and interest into those payments. Or if you go to a website of a specific dealer, they are more of a guideline. So it allows you to specify, let's say, 1.99% interest is the lowest interest rate GM, Toyota, Ford, or Dodge is willing to offer, but you feel like you want to see what your payments were like at 0%. It's great that you've seen it, but that doesn't mean that you can get it. The second most important thing we got to talk about is the honesty with the salesman. It comes across a lot. You'll talk to somebody, they'll give you some numbers, you'll go out and look at some vehicles, you'll come back, you'll look at some more numbers, and then they will start telling you that I was at another dealership and they offered me X amount for my trade-in. They're willing to sell my vehicle at X amount, which brings me to this payment. And this payment I'm happy with, but maybe you weren't happy with the dealership. If you don't go into your next dealership being fully forthright with what numbers you were given, and you want to start saying, hey, last dealership told me 19 grand. I'm going to tell the next dealership they gave me 21 and I'm going to see if they're going to match it. There's a game that can be played where you can move the numbers back and forth, or you can come into a salesman and you can be fully forthright and you can tell them what you've been offered, or you can ask for an honest assessment and take it as an honest assessment. The third thing is when you come in for a vehicle appraisal, it is in our best interest to give you as much money as we absolutely can. That being said, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy with the number. It may be $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $10,000 lower than what you were anticipating. But at the end of the day, it's what we can give you based on market value, based on the amount of money we have to tie up in advertising, cleaning, prep, and to put the vehicle back out to potentially make some money. And it is very important we make some money because we all have to get paid at the end of the day. Number 4 is vehicle price. It's great you come in and you want $18,000 off, but maybe that vehicle isn't applicable, or maybe your numbers included benefits that you are not eligible for. There is certain things that we cannot control, but vehicle sales are so competitive that if we don't give you the utmost competitive price to begin with and the utmost competitive price on trade-in, that everything else is almost irrelevant. So we want to make a car deal because we know that you can go to one of 7 other dealerships within the area. So we want to make sure that everything is up to par, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to stack up to what you've seen online. So you got to be a little bit flexible with your numbers and have kind of like a low and a high margin for what you're willing to negotiate within. Let's talk about brand comparison for a minute. I work for Chevrolet, GMC, and Buick. I don't sell Cadillacs. I sell the 3 of the GM brand. And I get a lot of people coming to me looking at Chevrolet Silverados, looking at Trail Bosses, looking at Elevations, and looking at kind of, let's say, the mid-bracket. Let's say the $50,000 to $60,000 Canadian truck market. And they've been down at Dodge, and Dodge will do a payment that is here. Ford is doing a payment that is here, and GM is doing a payment that is here. There's an interesting concept that happens, and GM sends me to very expensive training to differentiate and tell you the differences in the different brackets and fuel economy and the amount of tie downs in a truck box and the ergonomics of seats and the standard screen size for navigation, whatever. That's here nor there. At the end of the day, I try to feel like if you're coming to me to shop for a Chevrolet or GMC pickup truck, it's because you have a value in that product. And at the end of the day, I'm going to give you the best price I can, and it might not be the cheapest, but you might not be looking for the cheapest price. And I will never match a Dodge price. They offer an entire year of financing. For those of you that are money savvy and understand the difference between compound interest and the amount of interest paid and an extra year's payments, will understand the difference. But for those of you that don't, it adds up to a lot. So you're coming back to me after a few years wanting to trade in your alternate brand, and you've barely touched your principal payments because you've just been paying interest. But that's here nor there. Let's talk trucks, let's talk value. Every truck has a value. And when you come in to shop for a vehicle that is more expensive, there's a reason it's more expensive. And traditionally, you as a consumer should know why it's more expensive. And if you aren't and you want explanation, that's where my job comes in. I should be able to take you on a test drive. You should understand that ride comfort, quiet, quality, the tightness of the feel of steering, and the agility of the vehicle should speak for itself. You should understand why that vehicle is priced accordingly versus its competition. The last thing you got to consider when you're buying a vehicle is personal value. And I see this every day. I'm involved in a lot of community pages. You want to buy a Camaro, you want to buy a truck, you want to buy an SUV, you go on these fan pages or groups that consist of owners, and you want to post, hey, I can buy this used car or this new car at X amount of dollars. What do you think? Is it a good deal? And guaranteed, you will always have somebody come up and go, oh no, I paid $500 less. I paid $1,000 less. I paid $5,000 more. You should shop for a better deal. You should do this. You should do that. At the end of the day, there has to be a personal amount of value to the vehicle. I mean, if you really love a red car, but you could save $1,000 and buy a blue one, but you don't love blue, red has been your passion for your entire life, and you're now in a position to buy an enthusiast vehicle or buy the vehicle that you never thought you would, or buy the truck you want on the showroom floor, and you sit back and go, it's a great deal. Salesman's great, service seems great, dealership seems great. You're going to be really happy with owning the vehicle. But maybe if you drove to the next state or the next province, you might be able to save $500. You're going to spend, let's say, 10 hours of your time. You're going to spend X amount of fuel. You're going to have somebody drive you. And then when you go back for service, maybe you don't get the same service experience, because even though you shopped at this dealership, you went all the way out of state just to inquire about another vehicle that you bought and brought back. There's just a little bit of, common sense that has to kick in, and you got to sit back and say, what is the personal value of this vehicle? This may not be the world's greatest deal that has ever been had, and I might spend $500 more than somebody else did on the same vehicle, even though I'm saving lots of money or getting a great deal. I saved $4,600 on my vehicle, and then I got trade-in, brand whatever discontinued. I get an extra $1,000. So now we're talking $7,000 off the price, and then I compare that to other people who spent $3,000 more than me, but we're all getting the same ownership experience, and maybe they're making $10,000 more than me a year, and they don't even notice the difference. So you got to sit back and tell yourself, what is the ownership value of this vehicle? And is it something I can comfortably afford? Because saving an extra $2 a month or $3 a month might not weigh out being able to get a great vehicle at a great dealership that you really like dealing with, that are going to treat you like you are an important customer, because you're never going to drive out of state for an oil change, for an alignment, a brake job, for any of these things. You're not going to do it. So what is that extra little bit of value worth to you? And have you been, and as we've discussed in all the other points, forthright with your dealership and dealer trade and values and all the numbers that are available? And if you are looking at your best case scenario vehicle for hauling your family, hauling your boat, hauling your RV, and it's another like $10 to $20 a month, and you're sitting there going, I'd love to save it, but at the same point, maybe the interest rate isn't as good as it had been 8 years ago when you shopped. The market's changed, the economy changes, and everything changes with it. So you got to sit back and you got to put a personal value on that vehicle, on the monthly payment, on the interest, on everything that is applicable to the finance terms of the vehicle you are intending to buy. And again, I'm just trying to share with you guys some of the stuff that I deal with as a salesman. I'm not a professional. I am just getting started, but the same questions come up every day, and I would love to help you guys get the same value out of your shopping experience, and maybe save some time and maybe enjoy the process more. It can be fun, and going in and haggling salesmen can be fun. I do enjoy the odd person that comes in that gives me a hard time. Don't think I don't. Sit back and go, oh, this person's being a pain in the butt. It is a part of my job, and I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting new people. I enjoy going through the process of you walking through the door, to establishing what you need, to showing you what we've got, to you potentially driving out with a vehicle that I have sold you. It is a very rewarding experience at the end of the day, and one that I have enjoyed immensely. So if you got any comments, please leave them in the description down below. If you got any questions, you know where the comment section is. I am feeling incredibly privileged to be able to bring you these videos and share with you all of the experience that I have gained in the short amount of time in the multiple dealerships and the great salesmen I have been able to work shoulder to shoulder with. It's been really, really interesting to see the market and see the behind the scenes and help you guys navigate some of the pathways that otherwise seem really, really daunting. So, as always, take care, drive safe, and behave. I am TopHatPlus. Hit that subscribe button.